I was raised by the wolves, by the wolves, by the wolves. I was raised by the wolves, by the wolves, by the wolves.
Yo, GM, everyone. This is Alpha Wolves episode 2. Super pumped about it. We have a lot to talk about today, actually. Me and Spark and Gorilla were talking a little bit offline. Dude, we have so much. We're talking about Ton, Telegram Network, and the games that are coming there. We got Blur, and Gorilla's going to be helping us with that. PACMOON V3, and a whole bunch of play to airdrops with Beacon and a whole bunch of things, man. And also, markets are absolutely terrible, but hopefully that's not the case for you, Spark. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man. Good. Yeah, no, market's looking like shit. You know, some of my gaming plays been actually holding up pretty well. So, you know, we can talk about that later. But yeah, overall things are, you know, a little rough.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it helps with the gaming one, like not performing very well because there's not much lower we can go. So it was actually a good thing. But the first thing I want to talk to you is actually introduce my friend. And I love the intro here with him. The man, the myth, the legend. We got Gorilla. What's up, dude? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us again. Jaxie's saying I broke it, and then Kearney's saying GM. Welcome everybody in the comment section, and thank you for having us. Gorilla, how are you doing today, buddy?
Excellent, man. You know, trying to keep up with the market. It's been really choppy this week. A lot of people are depressed, but I think we're all used to it by now. It's in us. We just look at the dip, and you know, 6 months will be fine. So whatever. You know,
I joke around like the class of 2021 is like just the people that got in during that time is just like, oh yeah, this is fine. I remember watching it was like in December or something, and I'm just watching Bitcoin just go from like the top of 60 and just go straight down to like 40, like in like an instant, and just like everything got liquidated. And I was just watching it in live and stuff. So it's really awesome. And if you see Jesus down there in terms of the banner, he should be joining us. And if not, he probably got caught up in doing something. But love that dude, and we'll join him up here whenever we do. But without further ado, I want to also thank our sponsor, Infinigods, and I want to just kind of show a little bit of what they've been building throughout this actually like last week, even before we mentioned them as our first sponsor too. So one thing is King of Destiny has reached 500K downloads, but not just that every single user that downloads King of Destiny gets a wallet when they start playing. So a lot of the aspects of a custodial wallet, all that good stuff is there. And also I think Bri was very cheeky with it whenever he was texting me and saying that your mom is now playing blockchain games and also has a wallet and is now in crypto. So love that they have actually implemented that it's like all kosher and everything, like with the App Store. Amazing. And also something that I also wanted to showcase here was also the leaderboard and what the missions are for Foundation. So if you have not joined the Infinigods Valhalla Foundation in terms of missions, you're going to be able to earn God's tokens as you collect more of these. And the leaderboard is extremely great and favors people that have been collecting in the ecosystem for a very long time. If you look at the multipliers, you can do it from the Infinigods ecosystem, but there's also partners, Wolves DAO, SBTs, AI Arena, Today the Game, Fableborn, Lizards, all that good stuff is there. So really excited to be covering them more. But first and foremost, though, guys, the markets are absolutely crazy. And I'm going to do my news report here, but I'm going to share my screen in a very different way before we get into the weather report. And then we have Nexus Gaming. And also thank you to Hustle for providing this for us to be able to do this. But without further ado, let's get into the markets and the news. First and foremost, we got IMX at $1.55, down on the 7-day, 15.20%, and a market cap of 2.34 billion. It's the only gaming token actually that is above that billion market cap. We have Beam at 1 cent, down on the 7-day, 17.72%, market cap of 888.9 million. It was at $1 billion last week. Gala at 2 cents, down on the 7-day, 19.56%, at a market cap of 882.3 million. Going back into ecosystems, 2.366 cents for Ron and Ronin for the down 15.35% on the 7-day at a 782.4 million market cap. Going into gaming a little bit, we have Axie Infinity here at $6, down on the 7-day, 14.67% at 878.7 million market cap. Going into Prime for Parallel, $10.31, down on the 7-day, around 10%, a 368.9 million market cap. And Illuvium, $70.29, down on 7-day, 13.49% with 310 million. And then lastly, Pixels, 28 cents, down on the 7-day, 25.73%, 220.7 million, but is up for today. We're going into NFTs here. In terms of floor price, today the game's still holding at a 1.23 ETH, Nexus Gems at 0.99 ETH, and then also Pirate Nation at 0.93 ETH. Hopeful down a little bit from last week, 0.78 ETH. Incarna's down at 0.64 ETH. Pixelmon 0.49 ETH. We have Space Nation kind of breaking into at 0.44 ETH, and My Pet Hooligan at 0.40 ETH. And that is it for the market update when it comes to the news. But we do have a new segment for today that we're going to be talking a little bit more about what has happened in the markets. And again, this is a new show, y'all, so we want to iterate on it. We want to add things. We want to get feedback from the community. So this is episode 2. So if there's anything that's good about it, let us know. If there's anything bad about it, let us know. And so a new segment that we're going to be doing is going over like kind of TGEs and mints that have happened kind of recently within like a month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And the first one that we have up is Pirate Nation. And I wanted to share this here for Spark C to kind of comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, like just briefly, Pirate Nation's what now at like 95 mil market cap it shows there. I'm pretty sure that is incorrect. It's like about half of that. It's a bit under 50 mil market cap.
Mm-hmm.
They've like, if you look at the weekly chart, they've retraced the entire move from Coinbase. The beginning of that chart is pretty much when Coinbase was announced. It flies up and then it's retraced the whole lot. I mean, it's hard to judge that too much because everything is down. We just went through the weather report and everything is getting screwed over. Everything's red. So, you know, how much of that is from the market in general? Probably a lot. But after, you know, a lot of underperforming gaming TGEs, Pirate Nation was being held up as, okay, this might be like a trend shift. Like we've got something here that's actually like getting some traction. And now it's like retraced all of that. So, you know, it would be nice if it was otherwise.
Yeah, it's really hard because like they did everything like kind of right. You know, like they got the people, they dumped out, didn't really tell people about the Coinbase listing. You actually called it last week, Spark, whenever you were saying, you know, people got juked out by the Coinbase, sending a whole bunch of funds to Coinbase.
Yeah.
But it actually was right. And
I got juked.
Yeah, you got juked, but still, I think you were kind of looking at it as like that was a possible play, but it ended up being that Coinbase happened, but then the market's just shredded and it was just down only from there, which is unfortunate for the team because I feel like they executed that probably to as good as they can, especially like kind of understanding the space and knowing that, oh, people like token, but they also like token for another token. So unfortunate for them in which that kind of like the market trends are down right now. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was actually Mon protocol and Mon price. Actually, when it comes to their aspect, has just been kind of down only as well when it comes to Mon. What do you have to say for this one, Spark?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at their market cap before at like 32 mil, and that is like crazy cheap. I think if you told people like 3 to 6 months ago, you can buy into Pixelmon at like that sort of market cap, it's super cheap. The point is, though, like when you look at like the fully diluted, the FDV, there's about 12 to like 15% or something of supply is in there. So even though the market cap is really cheap right now, there's 180% supply inflation coming in this year in tokens for Pixelmon. So let's say that price stays the same as it is. By the time you add in all the new tokens, you're looking at like an 80 mil market cap anyway, which is still like on the cheaper side for like a bull market for sure. I think it's going to go a lot higher than that.
Right.
But something to keep in mind when you look at like, oh shit, 32 million market cap. This is easy worth 150 million. Well, it's going to go halfway there just from supply unlocks over the course of this year. Right.
Because you have like the KOL unlocks. You have think people starting to vest in like around 6 month time frame. So it's always something to also keep to note whenever those big unlocks are happening. But I know Gorilla, you've been super big into Mon and kind of like put a lot of like effort into Mon protocol when it comes to the launch of the TGE. I know sometimes you've expressed that you are satisfied, but also unsatisfied in some ways because of your calls. How are you feeling about Mon in terms of your sentiment now?
I'm pretty disappointed, to be honest. I think it's a similar play right now to meme coin, where if you have it, you stake it, and you're just getting those rewards for the airdrops. I did not. I think you have to go manually do it, so I didn't do for Aether, but I think they did well for the Aether airdrop. But overall, I debated selling. I debated selling some, not the airdrops that I got, but my purchase that I actually went to make. So I debated, cutting it and going to buy a different token that I think was going to bounce back better after this drop. I mean, the whole market's down, so it's hard to judge, but I hope we see some bullish news because the partners don't seem to be cutting it right. No, people aren't buying in just to stake a token if they think,
Right.
wait, token's going to keep going down.
Yeah, and I think that's also, which is an unfortunate kind of case for Mon, is that they kind of bet on the gaming ecosystem as a whole, because they also kind of labeled themselves as like in the index of like gaming, right? In terms of being able to like, oh, if you buy Mon protocol, you'll have exposure to all these different types of gaming tokens, but like that narrative only works if like the gaming narrative is relatively strong. So I'm also wondering too, if you have a Mon like token in which that if you stake and you're going to get exposure to some of these gaming tokens, if we have a resurgence of gaming tokens, that Mon starts getting a little bit more up in terms of market cap. I could see that coming back a little bit. Next up here is Aether, and Gorilla already kind of talked a little bit about this, but it's at 6 cents right now in terms of the 7-day. It is this is just a 7-day chart, but in terms of like 1 month here, we have 65 cents in terms of like a kind of a June 16th, like last week, we have around 7 cents, but then it also opened up at like around almost 10 cents, breaking it out. Any comments here, Spark?
No, not really. It's held up fairly well compared to other projects. Honestly, it's at like 250 mil market cap still, 2.7 bill FDV without like Binance or Coinbase. When the markets are like how they have been this week, I don't think you can expect much more than that from them.
Yeah, I still see like a lot of good volume too. Like, yes, it's cut down from like the hundreds of volume in terms of Aether token being able to be exchanged, but you have like a 50 type of volume in a pretty like kind of local bear and downtrend. I can see that. I know you commented a little bit about this already, Gorilla, but you have any other comments on Aether?
I think it's holding up really well, especially compared to IO.net, which launched a couple days before it did through Binance. And these guys, I don't believe Aether has Binance yet. So interesting to see them holding up. That one. It was down pretty bad. I saw, I mean, a polarizing character, especially with everything that happened this week with the Trump coin. But I saw Martin Shkreli was like dunking on this coin. So I didn't look into what the reason was behind that. But they're both holding up decent. But I like seeing Aether hold up really strong, especially without Binance.
Yeah. And yeah, again, this segment's really more kind of like going back into some of the TGEs and stuff like that. After all the hype and stuff has died down, kind of see where the health of the token is after, you know, the attention isn't maybe solely on these tokens specifically. And that's also talking about like Nine Heroes, which is kind of the next segment that we're talking about here, is around like 19 million in terms of their market cap, but fully diluted is around 149 million. And has relatively on the month had just been down only, which is another type of, I guess, evidence that like gaming is pretty much down as a whole in terms of the trending. And so in terms of this, any comments on this one, Spark?
I mean, I think the fact it's at like almost 20 mil market cap when Mon is at 32, like you can look at that as, you know, Mon is underperforming, which I think it is, but the fact that Nine has kept it that close, I don't think people would have expected a few months ago that it's running at 2/3 of the market cap of Pixelmon. So I mean, yeah, all things considered relative to some other launches, it's probably doing as well as you can expect.
Yeah. One thing that actually I wanted to touch on as well, too, is that this is kind of something that's ongoing, not so much that is currently have just happened. This actually has the attention on the timeline. But when it comes to the NFTs, and there's kind of a surgence of NFTs specifically for the beacon. In terms of the floor price of 30 days ago, before they had their play to airdrop campaign, they had around 68 around treasure. And now, like last week, whenever it first rolled out, is 118, and the like timeline is kind of ticked off. But like currently now sitting at a floor price of 200 magic. And it's actually just been really phenomenal to see just whenever you lead with gameplay and also see that people want these. And the utility for these, for people that are wondering, is that you are able to get like a chest in which that like have speculation of like a future token airdrop of it. And also Gorilla just lended me one, so appreciate it, big dog. But one thing that you actually have founding characters, Gorilla. How are you playing, you know, the beacon and everything that's going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing they have two different types of quests, right? They have the dungeons where you can actually use your founding character, which opened up, I believe, 2 days ago. And they're hard, so I'm trying to do them. Exactly. Yeah, the weekly dungeons. So I'm doing those. I'm grinding those, which I like it because what happened with the other quests was it's kind of this timeline, and some of them unlock based on certain dates. So I grinded to the end, and I was like, oh, I have nothing left to do. So what's the point of opening the page until the next one's there? Now, at least with the weekly dungeons, it gives me more to do. But I'm grinding it, dude. I'm trying to collect those. I got lucky. I hit like a legendary
Yeah,
medallion
I
on my
know,
first
man.
open. But
Freaking-
yeah, I've had these since before their pet mint. So I minted. They did really well. It was like, hey, you don't have to mint these. You can mint these if you want. And I minted 3 founding characters, and I just held them till now. And good to see them still holding up strong.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just looking at the chart too for Magic, I don't see like a lot of you know, I guess signs that like that is what has been leading it, but like Magic is needed to be able to purchase things on these founding characters, right? So there is some volume that's coming in. I don't know how much volume through this. So if you look at like the volume like around a couple days ago, you have probably around 37 million in terms of volume, and usually it's around like 23. So it's pretty cool to see like maybe some of the demand coming in for the game and actually driving out some token volume to be able to purchase these founding characters, which in my opinion, and Gorilla, maybe you can like disagree with me here, is that I don't think the founding characters like utility is that good. It's just like, hey, you get an extra like loot box for the weekly dungeon, and then you possibly have like speculation on a future token airdrop, which I guess could pay in full if you have like you buy it at these levels, but it's also a pretty big speculation on them. But do you agree with that, Gorilla, or do you think that go ahead?
I think they get you more rare item. Doesn't it increase your odds of getting a rare item? I'm not sure about
I'm not
that
too
one.
sure.
Okay. There's also the pets though. They have another, that was their original mint back in the day, where these founding characters, if you played with them, it got you whitelist for the pets, and the pets get you whitelist for their next mint. So they have more than just the characters. There's the pets.
Gotcha.
I think the pets are priced way higher than these ones as well.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I
just really like this kit.
Like the assumption nowadays that, okay, if there's a token coming out, even if there's absolutely nothing said about it, the Genesis NFTs are probably getting an airdrop, right?
Right.
Like it sort of almost goes without saying nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes into that. And so there's a lot of speculation on that side of things, but I still think it's a really amazing opportunity, not opportunity, but it's really a cool showcase of like what happens whenever your NFTs and everything like that are giving utility and you take over the timeline. It's just a really cool thing by the Beacon. And it has 3x from the floor just a few weeks ago. So 68 Magic all the way up to 200 Magic. That's pretty awesome. And there's actually buys. What was that?
In this market as well, of course.
Exactly.
Not much else is seeing any price movement.
And I think they're in terms of their GAU and some of their amount of players that they have is around like 120 players downloading and playing right now. And I think their target is 500,000. And so really kudos to the team, still like trudging along and being really active when it comes to a very down market for gaming on a whole. The next thing that I want to talk about too, and this is something that Gorilla brought up, and I didn't have it on my radar until actually Gorilla brought it up this morning, was Layer Zero. And, you know, retail is not the only ones down only. Gorilla, do you want to kind of put a little commentary on this, please?
Sure. Yeah. If you look right there, you can see on the page Series B, they raised at a $3 billion valuation. Yeah, right there on the right side. Series A was lower. If you scroll down, you'll see it. I think it was at $1 billion, but they have like a 4-year lockup or something like that. But the $3 billion FDV, and it's currently sitting at 3.6. It went all the way to, I think, close to 5. But you have a much better entry if you're entering right now on the market versus it was in April. I see right there, April 4th. So you invested a few months ago. You locked up your money. So you missed any upside in the market or any possible trades you could have made. And not only that, now you have to wait, 2 years to get your money back. So sometimes these investments just aren't doing good. I mean, we can get into the whole Layer Zero airdrop. I have, I think, a lot to say on that. I don't know if we want to talk about that.
No, please. I think for me, I'm curious on like what it actually is. I'm not very familiar with it, and because like I kind of stick within my niche of gaming, but like I kind of want to also maybe understand a little bit more context of like why these huge names, Sequoia Capital, A16Z, OKX, all these are gigantic companies, not just in Web3, but just in the world, very respectable. Why they like kind of put their eggs in this basket, and then why it's so underperforming.
Sure. I mean, there was a few airdrops recently, right? We had ZK Sync and Layer Zero, and then we have Blast coming up. But ZK Sync and Layer Zero are two that people were farming heavily for years, for the past 2 years, for a ZK Sync at least. And ZK Sync was disappointing. This one, Brian came out the other day and he kind of released some data, and it was showing we're only going to get 5% of the airdrop. So that already bothered people. And then the second thing that bothered people today was they're calling it a donation. It's a tax. In order to claim your tokens, you have to pay a 10-cent tax per token, and they're donating it to like ETH devs. So I don't know. They're making it seem like, oh, we're really good. Look, we're doing this.
Yeah.
You guys raised what, millions and millions of dollars? How much did you donate to that? But like us, after grinding and helping you get that valuation,
right?
They're really not taking care of people. To me, I look at it as, how do you kill your bridge or your protocol? Make people grind for 2 years, under deliver on the airdrop, and now force them to give up more money. There's a lot of people taking a loss on this airdrop of how much they've spent in fees, or if they got marked as a Cybele or whatever, which it's fair game. But I think overall, a lot of people are just going to be upset, and they're just never going to use their protocol anymore. And the team, I guess they've already raised the money, so what do they care?
But I have maybe a question. This is a little bit off of a tangent from the script, guys, so apologies. But like, when it comes to, you know, the airdrop and play to airdrop campaign, or just like farming for airdrop, it doesn't seem like anybody has been happy lately. You know, there's the other side of the farmers coming in and kind of having to play this game because, like, you know, there's regulation and all that kind of stuff in which that they can't like convey and farmers. But then also from the builder standpoint too, it's like you are kind of incentivizing these type of things. And to your point, Gorilla, you have people coming in and they're farming it, and those are the numbers that you're going in and like raising at a Series B of those valuations. But at the same time, like, they're also there just to dump it, right? So in terms of that aspect of things, is that they're doing a service, but is it for, like, how much is that worth? And I feel like there's just kind of like both of these like specific, very useful people, which are like the farmers getting users, getting attention on that specific protocol. But then there's also the protocol level too, is like saying like, oh, these people are very extractive and like they're just going to dump my token, which then gives me no like pathway to success for like a longer type of tailwind ecosystem being healthy. Like, any of you guys have comments on that? I know that's kind of like a curveball on our typical show notes.
Yeah,
go for it.
I mean, in terms of, it's interesting because it's like a trust-based system where the farmers are providing the value up front, and they have to trust that the team will reciprocate, provide value to them in the future after they've already been able to raise off the back of the metrics and the product market fit, quote unquote, being shown. I mean, beyond that, it should be in the team's interest to cultivate a community and reward them and show that like that is their goal. And if you fuck everyone over with your airdrop, you're showing the opposite of that. But, you know, like Gorilla said, sometimes these teams are making so much money, they're raising so much dollars that they don't need, in some sense, to reward people. They can get away without it. So they're taking all of the upfront benefit from the farmers and not giving any of it back. And I think it's I'll leave it at that. I'll let Gorilla comment.
Yeah, I think I'd be open. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, you know, one of these airdrops do something vested. Treat it like an investment where, hey, thank you for farming our airdrop. You get this on day one, and then the rest of your airdrop is vested over 3 years. I think if people know, like, hey, I'm getting money, they'll still be cool with it. I found this funny. If you click the first image, you could see that big red cell candle. The top, I think it's called Merkel or Merkley. I forget what it's called. They nuked. So they got their airdrop, they got their allocation because they were the top. They were using the layer 0 bridge, and you were able to farm, and they just nuked like over 100 ETH in layer 0 in one shot at the same time that the protocol tweeted like, happy to support layer 0. So I just found this funny. So it's not just the farmers nuking, it's like the actual protocols using layer 0 that are also nuking.
Yeah, I mean, the VCs
You're
are doing
muted,
the same thing, right?
Peyton. Yeah, exactly.
Apologies, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, VCs are putting money in to then dump on the market, right? It's not really that different. They provide value through money up front. The farmers are providing value through letting them raise from the VCs. Everyone's, you know, planning to sell. I think if they don't want as well people to be pissed off, farmers to be upset, then you just be transparent from day one and say, the plan is to give this percentage of tokens out. We're thinking of doing it in a linear-based airdrop, or it's going to be, you know, able to be cybled or whatever. They don't even have to stick to it 100%. But if they gave out a general game plan, people won't be so upset. Obviously, they're not going to do that because it's in their benefit to be as opaque as possible so that people will put more time and effort in. But I don't have a lot of sympathy for teams that have farmers up in arms at them, because they could avoid all of that by being transparent, and them choosing to not be transparent is because it's in their interests.
Yeah, I agree. And it's in their interests for the fact of keeping it opaque, because then you can adjust, right? Like when it comes to that aspect of things, is like, oh, how many farmers, how many things, like you're kind of reading the data. What you kind of get into an issue with is that you put out that percentage like upfront, and then like you have to reward it regardless, right? So like, hey, if there's only 20 people that showed up to your party, and like, you know, everybody's, you put a $1 million prize pool, then like that million has to be split up by the 20 people, right? And I think that's kind of what happened in PACMOON version 1. A lot of people just didn't like really think of PACMOON as like a meme token. All of Blast was like down in the crapper, and so people started people that were part of PACMOON kind of changed their life. You know, I think it was like over like 200. I think the number one was like 200K after like it went up a little bit. So it was just kind of a crazy amount of things to see when it comes to these farmers and what their stuff. You were going to say something, Gorilla?
To be honest, I forget what I was going to say.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We can move on to the next topic. Sorry for the curveball, y'all. So something that we were going to talk about, and this is something that me and Gorilla, you've been very interested in, is actually the Ton ecosystem. And apologies for not the dark mode that Gorilla also told me to be doing. But it's blinding everyone. The gaming platform for Telegram has been absolutely popping off. There's web apps creating different games, launching. So this is actually the API and the deck for Telegram itself, not actually for the Ton ecosystem. But there's all these different types of abilities to make Telegram games within the already platform like that. And it's also something that I think has been coming after Discord for a very long time. And for me, I will say too, Telegram was always something I kind of pushed on the side, but this cycle has really shown me how useful Telegram is. And they've been like putting in a lot of different features, like folders, different types of platforms in which that like you can buy for different types of stickers and all that stuff. And it's kind of like a B2B type of messaging app, but it's starting to become a lot more because of things like Ton. So like the Telegram like app and the token that's associated with it has been really cool to see. And also the building too, like in terms of Ton play and exploring Ton, like you can play these types of games in terms of this ecosystem, kind of like Vampire Survivors and spin Ton. So like Ton has also been just absolutely killing it in terms of charts, and I'll pull it up here. But I know, Gorilla, that you've been like very interested in the Telegram and the Ton ecosystem. Want to kind of get your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's going to do really well this cycle. I mean, it could, if Cardano made it to 100 bill last cycle, I think Ton could do that this cycle. So there's not that big of a multiplier. I think it's probably 2 to 3x from here in terms of FDV. But in terms of what I'm looking at more is maybe meme coins and some of these games. So I bought like not to shill a coin, but I bought Resistance Dog,
Go for it.
Rito, which I think could do really well. I do think it could hit a bill if Ton is going to continue to grow and it's going to be the #1 coin. So I put some money into there. I don't currently hold any Ton just because I want the bigger I want to take a bigger risk here and go for a meme coin. But there's also all these games like, dude, Hamster Combat. I know there's like 150 million farmers and mostly bots,
right?
But it's so addictive. I open it every single day, and I'm already on Telegram because, like you said, I use it for my marketing agency. I use it. I'm in a ton of KOL chats. I'm in all these meme coin alpha groups. Most meme coin stuff is in Telegram. I trade meme coins with Shuriken, which is a Telegram bot. So I'm already in Telegram all the time. And dude, I'm just always opening Hamster Combat. Another one I don't really play, but like there's Pixelverse. There's a ton of these games, and a lot of gaming studios that I'm talking to are pumping out these Ton games. So I think it's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah, even like the guys that are like making like games, I put in a heavy quotation, like legit games, like these hyper casuals and stuff like that. I think when it comes to Telegram, everyone's looking at it as like, oh, this is a really useful avenue to be able to get users, get people used to their ecosystem and all that stuff, and maybe they can hopefully funnel them once they have them captured. So really cool to see. Spark, do you have any kind of thoughts on like the Telegram and Ton network?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great fit for the Web3 audience that is already on Telegram, like Gorilla said. That's why it makes sense to me that like your clickers, your meme coins, like they are perhaps a better market fit. I can imagine like some basic hyper casual games also like gaining some traction. I know some teams are planning more involved games to launch on there, which just might have more of a non-Web3 audience. But I mean, it's a good distribution platform for them there as well. I think that, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the first wave of ton games will gain a lot of benefit in price just from the narrative of being a ton game. And I think once things settle down, a lot of these sorts of games we're seeing don't have like a real reason to really have a token unless they're going to be doing like rev share or something like that.
Right.
Like you don't need to use a token within Hamster Combat, or people won't be paying big dollars to speed up what they're doing in the game a small amounts. Like, you know, typical hyper casual stuff, they're monetizing through ads and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see where this ends up at. But yeah, I know a bunch of teams as well planning to build within there. So I think there'll be a lot of attention on it for this cycle.
Yeah, I agree. And for people that are interested in doing it, I have Gorilla's. You go to his profile and you just scroll down a little bit. He actually breaks down a ton and how to get started on it. To be honest, I'm probably going to be following this guide today because I don't have any type of like experience in it. I just know that it's been a narrative that I've been covering for like on Ready Up for like a few weeks, and I've just been seeing just only up in terms of Toncoin. I think Toncoin is like I think it's a top 10 on Monday.
Yeah.
It was a top 10. And so absolutely crazy to just see it just ripping in terms of that. So check out Gorilla's thing, and in market cap, it looks like it's about to flip Doge relatively quickly, and then XRP is going to be a pretty big milestone if it does. But Cardano getting put down there at 13.
Love to see it.
Love to see it. Love to see it. And so really cool to see. Next topic is actually mostly focused on NFTs, and that's why we also have Gorilla up here to kind of just educate at least me. Sparksy is probably a lot more versed in it, but you just put out a recent video, Gorilla, saying you know, we're actually seeing the real valuations of these NFTs, and it's not looking pretty. And then you also posted a tweet about CBF. I forget how you use his name or pronounce his name. But like season 3 is completely done. So can you tell me a little bit about like what's happening right now in the NFT space? Because that's where you come from.
A lot of people were always complaining how Blur was holding back the market because there's all these bidders and they were dumping, you know, 50, 100 NFTs at a time, and it would kill the market because other bidders other people who aren't interested in the NFT, they're just interested in getting the points, are getting those, and they're just crushing a floor, which I partially agree with. I understand it, but I like Blur because they gave me exit liquidity. If I want to get out of an NFT, I knew there was going to be hundreds of bids, and the floors were going to go up sometimes because of these bids. They were fighting with each other and there was manipulation going on. But now we're really seeing, I mean, I don't think apes have been under 10 ETH since 2021. Pudgies, at least they're bouncing back a little bit here, but they pretty much round tripped. If you got in at 5, they went to 22, and now they're back down. I think NFTs right now, especially for future mints, the only ones that I find I'm really interested in outside of memes, because, you know, meme projects could randomly have a crazy multiple out of nowhere, but it's really the ones that are acting as like this voucher or a pre-sale for a token. When there's a token linked to it, I mean, look at Pirate Nation; it's holding up really well, even though it already had its first airdrop. And there's like I'm still holding my meme land, so those ones make sense. But outside of that, I'm kind of just considering, why would I buy this NFT over buying a meme coin or an altcoin or whatever it is? I did post last night, however, that I was shopping Pudgy Penguins.
Nice.
Which, yeah, I should have bought. I'd be up now close to 1 ETH if I did buy. So but the problem that happens is I'm shopping for a PFP, which is the wrong move. You got to be shopping for that flip. But I like Pudgies, so I rock them back here. I got some toys, so I like Pudgies. I think it is one of the NFTs of the whole PFP world that can survive. If any's that's going to make it, it's probably the one I would take a bet on. That and like, you know, Milady's, despite how a lot of
Milady's have been
Milady's.
like crushing it. Yeah. There's also a lot of people, I guess there's like, 4chan type of thing. Like people don't, you know, it's kind of a weird type of thing. It's like, do you want to be represented or attached to that brand? I know they're kind of a bunch of trolls, but I think what is it, like the infancy of it or something like that is pretty sketch. So
they're making money, and that's what I'm here for. They're making money. I mean, I believe they got an airdrop for Layer 0 today. Pudgy's too, but I think it was very small. And I know Campe Panda has also got some. I've never been into the Campe Panda ecosystem, but some of these NFTs there's a ton of places you can get value from holding them.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we've gotten, even we know that, and firsthand, like what comes to the SBTs for like the Wolves, we've gotten a lot of like airdrops within the last few months, just for the fact that we have a vetting process, and people that own it are actually part of the gaming ecosystem and actually care about it and keep up with it. So I would say that I definitely know how beneficial it can be for people to have NFTs and get airdrop to it. Even though I'm down bad on my parallel avatars, I've also gotten multipliers and everything like that from it. Because I think my average cost for parallel avatars are like an ETH. It was freaking rough.
You
bro.
tried to get me into them as well. I did actually buy and then sell like at a 0.1 loss, but
Yeah.
I blame that on you, that 0.1
Yeah,
loss.
yeah. I blame it on the trailer that I got hyped up for. And so I'm not
trailer.
taking any. Yeah, it was a good trailer. Cool. And then also for people that also want to know, I just chilling my friend Gorilla here again, in terms of NFTs are actually worthless. Check it out on his YouTube channel as well. The other topic that I want to do before we get into the second half of our show, which I'm like really excited about, of like kind of what we're buying, is really PACMOON V3. PACMOON V3, and this is, I want to open up a broader discussion too here, is that PACMOON V3 had to pivot mostly because of what Elon's new thing of where like you can't see what people's likes are, right? In terms of, if you're looking at insights, a few post engagements, and then you go to likes, it used to have like likes and all that stuff up here, and no longer is the case. You can't see anything when it comes to the views, in which a lot of people in social questing platforms use that and leverage that for the opportunity to reward people via points. Now they have create content about PACMOON. Every day is a challenge to create the best content, and they are using their profile like they did in V1 to be able to reward and also like make sure that people are making content the way that is within the rules. And one thing that kind of came out of it that I thought was really eye-opening to me was that V2, they liked it in form of like what it was able to do, but at the same time they also didn't like it because it was a lot of rules and then making sure that you enforce those rules. So it was really cool to see like the reflection on how these social questing platforms and the SocialFi, and I kind of use probably PACMOON as a good indicator of like what a healthy social questing platform should do. So it's always cool to see what their pivots are, and the team like Lambo and everything like that has pivoted many times, and I've heard a lot of different things when it comes to being able to be like super flexible and adjusting accordance with what people are saying out there in the markets. I want to kind of have a question though for you guys in terms of social questing. Like, is Elon hiding these tweets or hiding the likes and everything like that? Or kind of what's been sobering for me is that Elon could make a different rule that like you can't see the different types of followerships and different types of likes, and it completely disrupts a lot of the point-based systems that we are currently doing, right? And probably Infinigods and the foundation for Valhalla Foundation probably can't reward points based off likes anymore. So how are you guys thinking about this in terms of social questing? Is social questing kind of on a down slope anyways, and we're going to be moving on to a next meta? If so, what is that meta? But would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the social questing platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were trending a little bit away from it in the sense that exchanges don't care about it so much anymore, and that's why teams were doing it. I guess my takeaway from this is I've had a few times over the years where I have a play and I'm like trying to think through like, how could this go wrong? Like this is like a guaranteed at least break even. There's nothing that could go wrong here. And so many times I've just been surprised by this like out of left field, it felt like at the time, thing that went wrong and like ruined the whole play. And I look back at it afterwards and I go, that's not actually that crazy, right? If you're a PACMOON investor and you're like, okay, it's really important that we can see likes in Twitter. Like Elon does crazy ass shit on Twitter like all the time. Like having a narrative based around that is a risk. There's risk in everything, right? Doesn't mean you don't invest in something because there is a risk. But I've had some weird out of left field things like that happen to me before. And it's been good practice for me to like open my mind a little wider about what can go wrong. Like what are the real risks in a play like this? Because it might be like a 2% chance, but if there's 10 different things with a 2% chance of happening, well, all of a sudden, like it starts to add up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I concur. I think when it comes to like some of these things with like betting on a platform, especially like with Elon, whenever he's kind of has a war against bots. He's like super focused on trying to eliminate them, and probably something with these likes and everything like that, trying to get more closer to like a YouTube algorithm type of thing, where like he has a little bit more levers to be able to pull based off of it. And so, Gorilla, you have any thoughts on like some of these new rules that are being placed? You can't see likes or anything like that, some of the social questing platforms.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to hurt them. PACMOON, though, in their tweet, they did mention at the bottom, they said, however, we found a solution using a new API provider. So we'll see. I like, you know, now they're kind of doing a combination of V1 and V2. I stopped making content just for like about their project. I don't know how long it's going to last. With how much PACMOON do they have to give away to people? You know, what are they going to do for season 4, 5, 6 to keep people interested? You could say that for any meme coin, though. How do you keep your community or token at not necessarily meme coin? For the things on Twitter that are happening, I mean, dude, even me, my engagement, I find it's really not the best. The amount of people who tell me like, I haven't seen a tweet of yours in so long. I don't know why my stuff doesn't get shared to a big part of my audience. I don't put as much attention into Twitter as I should. My focus is really on YouTube. But yeah, you're always putting yourself at risk when you're depending on a platform. I mean, if YouTube decided to strike my channel for some reason, you know, they can kill my whole career. And the same thing can happen to a lot of these farming protocols. My interest, I mean, I wasn't even doing like the whole layer 0. I had a service that was farming it for me. So that's one type of airdrop farming, where you're using a protocol and you're spending money on fees. You're risking money. Things like PACMOON, where it's free. I like it because all it costs you is your time and your effort. And then the other version that I've been putting more time into recently has been these play to airdrops. And some of those pay really well. I mean, look, Pixels, I know a lot of people who absolutely crushed it. Yeah. Pixels, they made 5 figures. So I hope we see more of those. There's also the downside too. If you look at Pixel Pals, they really didn't pay well. I guess they tried to give money to everybody versus maybe saying, hey, you need a minimum. But people grinded for 3 months. Some people even spent money to get more points, and it ended up not being good. So it's always a risk that you're taking no matter what. There, it's really with your time. If you're going to be playing a game, especially if you buy assets to increase it, you're spending money as well. But things like Beacon, you know, I'm going to complete all the quests. I actually find it fun. That's the other side.
I also found it fun.
Yeah, those ones are fun. So I'm not just like sitting at my computer grinding and, you know, doing a swap on an exchange or on a DEX and then noting in my spreadsheet my transaction, the date, because I track all my airdrop stuff. These ones I actually find fun. So these are the ones I'm hoping do really well. And even if you don't have your own game, you can go out and partner with games and make some sort of deal, kind of like games.gg did, where I don't know how well they're able to track that. Or this is what even Portal did, Block Games did, which a lot of people criticize Block Games, but they partner with a ton of games. And if you played those games, you were able to get points for the airdrop. Yeah. So I like those kind of airdrops.
In terms of like what Games 3 or any of these things do, they're all like APIs that the game have to kind of implement or put in. So that, like, you know, in-game telemetry happens. Like, let's say that you get like 10 kills on Shrapnel in terms of the next XTX, which is like next week, that you can get like, you know, a specific feedback into like Games token or whatever, right? That goes into it. And so it's not far off. I think it's just a lot of the aspects of the games are so early in development that they're not focusing on like putting that in-game telemetry and giving it out to an API, because that takes engineering work and all that stuff. And like, what if the things that they're tracking needs to be changed, or if it messes up the code for the game? So there's a lot of like different types of elements that happen there. And I do have a question, but I'm gonna reserve it for the end if we have time for it, because the next section is something that I'm really looking forward to, which is kind of figuring out what you guys have been buying and like why. For me, I'm like pretty bare bones in terms of like what I'm thinking about, because I don't have as much time to trade or anything like that. So I put it into some things that are like maybe medium type of altcoins that I think are gonna 5x or 3x instead of like, you know, that 100x that happens. But I want to kind of open it up here with Spark C in terms of what you have here, which is time.fun. What are you looking at, buddy?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's look, everyone loves their SocialFi. This is like new SocialFi from a team that was incubated by Alliance DAO. For those that don't know, Alliance DAO has incubated like a bunch of protocols in the space, including pump.fun. So pretty much it's tokenized time. So creators sign up and you can buy minutes of their time, and you can cash that. It's bought and sold on like a bonding curve, just like Friendtech was with shares. And you can cash the time in depending on what the creator allows it to be spent on. So it could be spent on like answering a question in a DM. It could be spent on a video call. there's Telegram group access for like a private chat, which in my opinion is a better fit than friend tech chat rooms, because that's a whole new app or whatnot. Like if you're in a chat in Telegram, it's a lot better. The team's talking about opening it up to raffles, airdrops, or a bunch of other stuff that you can use your timeshares on. It went live like 2.5 days ago, super early. There's some big crypto Twitter names that have just started getting into it. Like Ansem is on there.
And Santiago, I see.
Yeah, Santiago, Icebergy, Mert from Solana. Like there's some big names there. They're going to be doing a token point system as well, just like Friendtech did, but it's not been announced yet, and it's not started accruing points yet. So I think it's, in my opinion, it was a good time to get in there. It's still pretty cheap to buy shares of time in some of the creators. So yeah, I've just been pretty much, if you scroll down a little bit, it'll show you, yeah, newly tokenized there at the top. I just have a tab open on my desktop, and I refresh it every 10 minutes. Check if someone I know has like just tokenized themselves, has just entered on the platform, and I'll buy like a few shares for like $5 each. And then if it takes off, like, you know, there's a lot of potential there, a lot of upside. So yeah, I thought it was a cool idea.
It is a cool idea. Gorilla, what's your thoughts on it?
I'm scared to join this kind of stuff because when I joined, I didn't know Friendtech was going to automatically mint keys for me when I joined. I just wanted to trade, and it essentially minted a free NFT for me. And then people joined my community, and they were like, hey, give away whitelists here. Make this your community. And I'm like, guys, I already have a community. Then they're like, okay, give key holders access to your community. I was like, what? Like, what are you guys talking about? So I don't want to sign up to this. It's going to make timeshares, and people are going to be buying up hours of my time, and they're going to be like, well,
give me my pound of flesh, Gorilla.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just staying away from it. Maybe I'll open up on a burner or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's probably what I'll be doing too. Is like, that's funny that you said that, because I remember you telling me about Friendtech. It's like, you're telling me that I minted a collection, and now I have a community that I didn't ask for. I was just trying to sign up for an account, and it was just crazy to see. But I'm always just very curious about this, because I think SocialFi and a lot of these type of elements opens up a kind of new paradigm of like kind of what we can trade on, and a lot of the context of like how we trade is like on people, and we're betting on people, and we're betting on teams, right? And something is cool. And we also have somebody to join us up here with Jesus. I'm trying to find you, buddy. But yeah, we'll get Jesus up here shortly, and then welcome NJ as well. But before I get up Jesus, something that I forgot to plug was actually Infinigods, which is our sponsor for the show. And we opened it up with them in terms of Infinigods, but they have 500K installs. And what's amazing about this is that every single time that King of Destiny is downloaded and there's a new player that comes into it, there's a non-custodial wallet that is being made on the back end. And so that means that there are more people coming into crypto just through downloading an app. And that ecosystem isn't just King of Destiny. It's actually for the whole Infinigods. So any type of platform that is coming out for Infinigods is those wallets that are going to be growing and growing and growing over time, in which that these people will have kind of crypto in their wallets, different types of things that they can pass on to different types of apps. And so I'm really excited, really bullish on what they're doing. So really love Infinigods and what they're planned to do. Altis has a question, Spark as well, but what people paid into a platform that is your Twitter account loosely tied to, no pump community, Gib Kennedy, firstborn. Yeah, exactly, Alti. For some reason, I'm having a trouble getting things up, but I'll get Jesus up here shortly. But I want to move on to the next thing that you've been talking about, which is MAGA. Spark, tell me a little bit about it. Trump token.
Yeah, well, not specifically Trump token, more like the VP coins. And I think having the MAGA coin up there is an interesting one for that. So I've been throwing some like spare change in a bunch of the vice president coins. As you can see there, it's actually in my notes I made an hour ago. It was $25 million higher market cap. So that's a bit of a shame. I've lost a bit of money there. But the coins that's like what 320 mil, right, is the market cap of the main Trump. There's a bunch of subsidiary Trump coins. If you look at the vice president coins, I'm not even going to give out tickers for them because all of them are under $1 million. So the comparative value there is crazy. And from what I saw, the pick for VP is happening in like mid-July, less than a month away. Yeah, there's like some odds at Polymarket, a prediction market. I've been throwing some change at like the top 3 or 4 on there. I expect all of them to gain a bit of attention the closer we get. And I expect whoever is the VP should be sitting at like 5 to 10% of the market cap of the main coin. So yeah, that's on the meme front. I've just been throwing some spare change at those.
Dude, you're such a degen. I freaking love it. And then lastly, one of your other calls here is that you've been picking up Cityverse Tycoon, something that you have been very convicted on for a very long time, and you've been telling me about. It's like, hey, like this is a project that I'm looking in and that you should get into too. But tell me a little bit about it, buddy.
Yeah, big fan of what Cityverse is building. So on the gaming side, it's like a social gambling game. It's like a Monopoly Go, but in Web3. They're super basic games. Like it's pretty much gambling with like the facade of a game on top to like make it a little stickier.
Right.
But the people that are playing these games, because it's pretty much like gambling, if you have a Web3 version where you can win a token with actual value versus the Web 2 version where it's like an empty, valueless token, that seems like a huge advantage in a gambling genre. Like that's a big part of, why these people are playing the game. So I think that's like a great fit for Web 3. But honestly, more than that, I'm excited about the infra they're building. They're building a bunch of progressive web app tech. And I think a lot of people know that mobile gaming is in Web 2. They're experimenting with that because they can avoid fees from Apple and Google.
Right.
In Web 3, not only does it let you avoid those fees, it lets you avoid a lot of the regulations that those stores have around what you can do with crypto integration. And there's not many people in Web 3 that are building progressive web app tech. So look, the NFTs give you points. It's going to be exposure to a token, no doubt. If that token is also linked into the infra, or if they do something like, Pirate Nation have, Prime have, that's all speculation. But the NFTs are under like 0.08 ETH at the moment. They're pretty cheap, 2,000 supply. Yeah, I've bought up like 2% of the collection. It's a pretty big bet of mine.
Yeah, it was a big conviction play, but also, you outlining a lot of your thesis on it, I kind of understand why now. So very cool. Thanks for sharing that. When it comes to me, something that I've been very boring, to be honest, with this dip that has happened in terms of the gaming markets. You can see it kind of in the weather report that we had in the beginning. And I'm going to put up Nexus again here. When it comes to share this tab. Yeah, share this tab. In terms of the things that I'm looking at, I'm looking at Ron at a 782.2 million market cap, and I'm looking at Immutable at 2.38. And I just think that Ron, in terms of these platforms that are above, have been just executing at a high level. And also, somebody mentioned it to me a little bit earlier, and I thought it was like a very fascinating thought process when it comes to Ron, is that like they are probably the ones that are banking the unbanked the most out of like the gaming ecosystems. A lot of these ones are just like, different types of custodial wallets and all that stuff, and making sure that the integration of the system is super easy in terms of onboarding. But like Ronin is very much heavily into like the play to earn type of thing. They're going to be doing what they have, and like even some of their roots, not even some, all of their roots is in Axie in terms of how that has happened. And something that Jiho is like super proud of is like banking the unbanked. And so that was something that for me that I'm like really interested in looking at in terms of Ronin. And then I saw Echelon Prime. I scooped some up whenever it was down like $8.90 or so, in terms of like $9, picked up some too. Not much. I wish I picked up more now. That is a little bit more up. But I think Prime token is going to be the leading like gaming token that like is going to bring everything up, mostly because of like the term of AI and gaming. And if we ever get wind of that narrative again, that's probably what I'll be picking up more of. So that's kind of like what I've been looking at. I've been very boring, to be honest. And then Zentry as well. I see Zentry coming down mostly just from their treasury standpoint, of more of a value play of like how much they have to give. And I think that team understands Web3 very, very well, and also is a lot more outspoken in what they believe. And they also are in the trenches too. The leader of Zentry is also one that like buys NFTs and like talks about their thesis. Is like, I just scooped up, I forget what kind of I think it was D Labs NFTs or something. They like always continually bought D Labs NFTs. And so really cool there. So those are kind of the three that I'm looking at. Yeah, Gorilla, I'll toss it over to you. What you looking at, brother?
Yes, sir. I guess I mean, I had bought stuff. I still think we could have some downside. Bitcoin could go 60 or under, in which case alts are going to continue to get wrecked. I do hear the other side of the argument, which is, well, now with ETH, with consensus tweeted the other day where the SEC is not going after it anymore, so it's not going to be a security, and I think they're doing that to pave the way for the ETH ETF, and then we're going to get Larry on TV again pushing ETH just like he pushed Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to get as much inflows. I've seen mixed opinions about this, but that could always pump a lot of these coins, especially on ETH.
Right.
I guess the 3 ones I've been buying, the only gaming coin I've been buying is Prime.
Yeah.
I do think it's undervalued right now. Like you said, I think it's going to lead. I could see it going to all the way to like 100 this cycle. Then AI coins. I mean, I'm buying some GPU, some PAL. I still want to pick up some render, but I'm waiting because I want to see if the market's gonna tank more. And then I'm getting some meme coins, dude. I feel underexposed to meme coins.
Drink the Kool-Aid, huh?
Pepe and Mog are the two I've been buying into a lot.
Yeah,
okay, so I'm going to
put you two on the hot seat because me and Jesus are over here played airdrops and stuff like that. But maybe Jesus is too. Maybe I'm the smooth brain here. But you and Spark, 2 good friends of mine, we've been just on calls and stuff like that. And you guys bring up these meme tokens. I totally get like the attention of like what meme tokens do. The vice president actually, like, for some strange reason, makes a lot of sense to me what Spark said. But like, what's your guys' thoughts on like why'd you guys not transfer, but like also dabbing into meme tokens? Mostly just because liquidity and the attention is there?
Yeah. I mean, the price has been like, the price is doing all the speaking for itself, right?
Yeah.
I think that the meme coin super cycle thesis with like, it's all about trading attention that OX Lawliette sort of put together on Twitter, who's like a real big brain for meme talk, makes a lot of sense, right? Especially with a lot of the utility tech-based plays underperforming in terms of like actually delivering a product that people want to use outside of just within crypto to speculate on it. Yeah. I think there's been so much disappointment for so long that people are sort of happy to cut out the middleman and just go straight to like pure speculation.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And so, sorry, Gorilla also cut you off. You can continue on. So with some of your meme token plays, but Pepe and Mog.
Yeah, Orido Resistance Dog was the other one, just taking a bet on the Ton ecosystem. And I same, I don't have any Brett right now, but same thing, Brett on base. I think grabbing a leader on each chain could be a good play. And look, these things, it's a meme coin. It can go to zero in an instant. We've seen it. Normie was a big coin on base and it got hacked and they got exploited. But I agree with what Spark was saying. Attention and just, I think a lot of altcoins are meme coins anyways. Like there's nothing behind them. They're just, there's a cult behind them and it's attention. Look at Cardano, XRP, dude, the amount of content on Instagram and I'm sure TikTok about XRP and Stellar and all. And they're just pushing this narrative that it's going to $10,000. And it's just like, and people believe it. So I don't know. It's really a cult game, an attention game. So, and what's simpler to understand, like not to FUD my bags, but am I going to be able to easily explain to somebody, hey, get into PAL AI or Node AI because of all the things, the tech that they're doing, or like ZK rollups and all this stuff, or like, yo, it's a dog with a hat, Billy to a Billy, or like, oh, it's Trump, it's the Trump coin, and they're just going to buy it. The thing you got to be careful with something like the political coins. I had sent you a link for all of them. The Politify. If you go on CoinGecko and you just write Politify, you can see all the political coins.
I'll pull it up for you.
The other day we saw it when the DJT token, which it's seeming less and less likely that it's not Trump. Okay, it seems like it's his son Barron with Martin Shkreli, but one article and then Martin Shkreli pushing like, hey, this is the official Trump coin. All these coins nuked. They went down like 50%, and it was a good entry for some of them, but they all took a hit. So if one of these celebrities or presidential I can't say the word. One of these presidential candidates comes in and actually has something to do with a coin, your entire bag can get nuked. So you got to be careful with these coins. Yeah. But with the elections coming up, I totally see the play here. I'd rather get one of these, but as a gamble, it is good getting into like a 1 mil or less, market cap, and then you could 50x your money if your guy gets chosen.
Yeah, you guys are crazy, absolutely crazy. It's just fascinating to me too. Like I try to like think about it as like, something that you said to Gorilla is that like, everything is like a meme token, or like all these tokens, like there's just like a cult behind it in terms of like community, and it's just kind of gauging that. like how valuable that community is or the underlying thing. But like it's really like treated on nothing, which kind of like is just like sometimes sobering to think about. But I also wanted to take some time because we're already at time. But I wanted to highlight my boy Jesus. Jesus, how are you doing, brother? I got you a little down there. If people haven't checked out Jesus, also let me just give you one of these. Jesus is Jesus is the man when it comes to just making YouTube content around things. You were very involved in terms of the Gala ecosystem, but have yet now just been everywhere in terms of gaming, making like daily content sometimes, weekly content. Also, just actually a really good gamer. Not as good as me or Gorilla, but
sure,
I can hear that.
Oh, yeah, just on yours.
Well, yeah, Spark, I've seen you play Dota. It's not good and, on that aspect. But I want to give you some time, Jesus, to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, I just do a lot of crypto gaming content these days. I'm getting into degen side a little bit. A little known fact about me was, I mean, one of my big trades was Axie Infinity. That was great and all. We love play to airdrop and all that. The second one was Saitama, and that was a meme coin that hit like an $8 billion valuation back in the 2021 bull cycle. And I feel like a lot of people are a little bit oblivious on how this whole thing works in the crypto space. It is an attention economy. I mean, like Gorilla and Spark are 100% correct. The only reason any of these gaming coins did anything is because there was a narrative attached to them. I mean, I even learned during the bear market that there was like this huge financial collapse of Terra Luna. I don't even know what that thing was, but I bought Terra Luna Classic whenever that ended up migrating. And people, instead of talking about the fact that it was a layer 1 blockchain, they were just like going off and saying, oh, but we've got the $1 burn narrative. And they just kept doing that over and over and over again. So when it comes to any of these games, if you're talking about Prime, you're like, oh, but we have AI and, you know, you can earn, you know, parallel Prime tokens for playing the game. So there's a lot of overlap with a lot of the space. If you are investing into a coin, then a lot of the fundamentals you learn in the stock market, just throw them out of the window. And a lot of it is like, do you think that people are actually going to use this product? Do you think there's enough cult members talking about this? Sure, then go ahead and press go. If you're someone that just wants to play these games, you're someone that's like getting into the IMX ecosystem and there's like 500 different games on there, then you're probably not going to be trading the coins. You're just going to be interacting with the ecosystem, and maybe you'll be like that guy that gets on MapleStory or the League of Legends black market and is all over the skins and is trading them. That's your money angle. It's the NFTs. So two different perspectives, and I always think it's interesting to talk about. But
yeah, I would like to actually break into that. If you guys also have time, if you guys have to drop, we're at time for sure. So I'm not going to force anybody if you guys have meetings or anything. But one thing that like is also just fascinating to me is like the use of tokens, and do games have to have a token? Does it need it in a lot of ways? And so maybe just being a little bit more countercultural while everybody's, you know, listing tokens, is there actually a need for them? Could they just use the underlying chain that they're on, Ethereum, Solana? So let's also just be like real here. Probably a lot of people, reason why they do token sales is because they need money.
They want money.
Right. But besides that, right, let's just put that into the thing. Is like, does tokens needed in terms of the NFTs, or NFTs enough in terms of being a blockchain game?
Yeah, no, it's just NFTs, bro. Like, you don't need to tokenize the currency that's being used within the game. This is the biggest problem in crypto gaming right now. It's like, to necessitate what could be cataclysmic if anything goes wrong, we can't just press the go back button. Once tokens are minted on chain, unless you can blacklist them, which Ethereum apparently can do, and that's totally against decentralization. But now we don't care about decentralization. It's centralized crypto gaming. It's fine. We've all come and learned about that. It's too much risk right now to make sense of it. I think NFTs, they make a lot more sense because we can actually change the metadata worst case scenario for the NFTs. There's a lot more manipulation tactics there. It's just so much safer, but you don't get the money. And a lot of these people are in crypto because they want the money. So I think it's until a lot of these end up rugging, because they're only focused on Web 2. I mean, dude, I was looking at this TGE that happened like 3 days ago, one of the most hyped games in 2021, and like no one's talking about it. I don't even know it existed, but I was hyped back in 2021. It looked pretty, but it doesn't matter because a token isn't useful for the ecosystem. like Gorilla said, most of these are practically meme coins right now because there's no use case in them. It's just they've got a high FTV, they've got a ton of tokens that got to get out there, and no one's actually using the token in the game. And if they are using the token in the game, I mean, the game's like in beta or it's in alpha. It's nowhere near out. So, I mean, where are the players to make the tokens that make any sense? So
Right.
I think most of these should just have NFTs.
Ah, it's good call. Spark, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I think one benefit of the token that's often not talked about is it's what gets you the Web3 community like pre-game. If you're going to make use of if you're going to try and build a cult following, you're going to try and make use of that cult following for extra attention, for marketing, to get people to go and leave you Steam wishlist reviews, to tell their friends about the game, whatever, then having a token is a fantastic vehicle for that. Now, that doesn't mean the token has to be integrated like into the game as like a replacement currency or something, which I think, you know, can be a real clusterfuck. Like, it's hard to make that work. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. I think that's an understated benefit of it. Now, there's some teams that don't know how to build a community or activate a community regardless of if they have a token or not. So for them, they're just doing it for the funding. But otherwise, yeah, for the teams that can make use of that, it's a benefit that's sometimes forgotten. It's easier to build a fanatical community with a token than just an NFT, in my opinion. Yeah,
I definitely think that there is like, you get a higher reach when it comes to it. You might not have as much of a concentration or a vetting process when it comes to NFTs. I think that's the one thing that I like about NFTs is that you can identify more things with metadata and all that kind of stuff based on that player. And we haven't seen, to Jesus's point, a game that's been out that also used NFTs correctly. In terms of the amount of metadata that can be done, like I think something that even you and I talked about, Spark, with the SBTs for the Wolves, is like if you could attach meat to them, and the amount of soft currency that we have inside of like our Discord that is kind of level sets where you are in terms of your participation in it. It shows you like, oh, maybe you could get more airdrop based off of like, you know, that specific previous thing. So we haven't seen like, to Jesus's point, NFTs being like earned in game and then also be used to be able to qualify things for the future, mostly just because none of these games have come to market. And Fenora also in the comments said like, you know, what if we build a game first, then we build an NFT collection, and that's a token. You're literally a hero in the game. Like I agree with you. And here's the question. I agree with you that in terms of that, but at the same time too, like we're all very realistic here, especially on the panel, and we're willing to say things that like probably other people aren't. Everything is here is just to make money. In terms of the funding, the FTVs being super high, the foundations being set up, and a lot of that other things. It's in that aspect of things. There is a case to be seen in terms of like ecosystems, in which that like there are ecosystem tokens in which that it powers the same engine, or the engine of that specific ecosystem. So like for mobile games, for example, if you have an ecosystem token, it can be transferred over to many other different types of mobile games. So you have a retention there of like currency that kind of moves from game to game, which I like that aspect of things instead of having to cold start soft currency every single time, right? So there's those like type of things, excuse me, that I'm interested in. But again, it's a very good thought experiment, especially as like we're reflecting, especially on tokens being down a lot and everything like that too. But Gorilla, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the whole thing about we're all here to make money, that's completely true, but it's entirely true for Web 2. Why are people starting companies or gaming companies or anything in Web 2? They want to make billions of dollars. Why do you go to work every day? Because you want your boss to pay you, right? If not, you would not go to work. The whole world revolves around money. Here, we just have no shame in admitting it. When it comes to, do they need a token? I mean, I think this about a lot of projects, not just gaming. I was looking at an AI project recently without naming it. It hasn't launched yet, and they're doing like the whole AI girlfriend type of thing, which I think is a great idea. But then I was like, wait, why does this need a token? Just make it like, oh, there's a ton of companies that already do this in Web 2. You're kind of just attaching a token to it, and you don't have any good use case for it. Obviously, it doesn't serve us if we're investing or whatever it is. We want number go up. But yeah, a lot of projects don't actually need tokens. And this is something I would tell a lot of these Web 2 brands who are launching NFTs, and they just come in and they're like, yeah, we're going to do a 10K drop. And I was like, why? Why do you want to do a 10K drop? If you're just trying to raise money, fine. But if not, why don't you do more of like what Starbucks did or like a loyalty I think loyalty programs are so undervalued for a lot of these companies. Come in and do a only give me NFTs when I buy your products, or only, you know, there'd be like a gym that would approach me like, hey, we want to launch an NFT collection. It gives you a discount on our yearly membership. I'm like, your gym is a physical location based in LA. The only people who are going to mint this are in LA, but you want me to market this to people all around the world. Nobody's going to mint this. Just make it be a slow mint over time. You don't need a 10K drop. So I think it's very different mechanics, but I think like the logic behind it is the same. Like, yeah, not every game needs a token. Not every game needs to. The main thing we want from games is probably skins, right? We all talk about, oh, if you could sell your League of Legends skins as NFTs, that'd be great. So that's what we want, not necessarily a token. So I think we want them to utilize the tech behind it properly, and yeah, not just number go up. Even I want number go up, okay, but for the success of the games,
yeah, and for the sake of the games too. And I think it comes down to it too. It's like there is maybe a solution looking for a problem in a lot of ways when it comes to these tokens. I get also the benefit of the tokens in terms of the attention. I'm not actually discrediting any of the things that like crypto has already done or will make over the course of a few months of people trying to use tokens in different ways and different mechanisms. Like I think the way that SocialFi has been like using tokens, I've like been like really trying to intake that information to see if we can in the gaming ecosystem take anything out of it. Before we close, I did also want to give a chance for Jesus to also talk about the main topic of kind of like what he's buying now before we end the stream. So Jesus, like what have you been looking at? What have you been interested in this kind of dip, or are you just kind of sitting on your hands for the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been buying as much, to be completely honest. Like, I feel like when March was around, everybody was aping into everything, myself included. Nowadays, we got humbled just a little bit. Again, our egos have been shattered. I'm into gaming ecosystem, so like you were talking about, I like play to earn. I think we're very honest with where this ecosystem play is. Ronin, I think Ronin's gonna cook. They just announced with that ZK EVM layer 2 stuff with Polygon. Hey, I know the people out there roasting Polygon, but hey, they're still cooking. Just on the back end. Yeah, just behind the scenes. A lot of these gaming ecosystems are using Polygon CDK, but it's like I'm buying that, and then I'm getting out of gaming. I already have a ton of bags on there. I feel like we have our baggage is tremendous. We need to go to other spaces. So I like the whole Aether thing with the nodes, but that's more of like an investment thing. That's going to pay off in a year, 2 years from now. Trading, I'm a degenerate. I'm going meme coins. That's all people are actually doing right now.
Yeah.
Who's buying a gaming coin to trade it right now? Nobody's doing that. You're buying Prime because you think it'll go to $100 next year, not because you think it'll 10x in 2 months. It's just probably not going to happen. So I did get into Rito, the resistance dog. Nice. Ton meme coin. I think we're all degens. We understand that the leaders, like you said, the Bretts, the Pepes, all that are going to do very well. And then playing into like the Politify, I'm not doing it all, and that's kind of it. It's just pretty simple stuff right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think I get that a lot from my friends that are just kind of everyone sitting. I think I saw Raiden kind of say like, hey, I'm going to be gone for the summer. Even Becker was saying, he's like, hey, just, you know, Bitcoin got in this specific channel, then just freaking shut down everything.
Chill.
And
it's going to be boring.
Just chill over the summer and everything like that too. So a very, very cool type of aspect of things. I do have like one more topic if you guys have like maybe like 10 more minutes. But if not, if you have to get going, please tell me now. You guys good?
Is this the profit topic? Profit taking?
No, it's not the profit taking one.
Oh, good. I was going to say we should, yeah.
We'll reserve that in the future. Whenever Jesus and Gorilla, you guys want to join us in the future, is that there's a aspect of I want to kind of hear your guys' thoughts on profit taking, how you guys go about doing it, and I also want to get Hustle up here. Maybe we'll have a 5-person panel and stuff. And so Gorilla got to get going in 5 minutes, so we'll try to I'll save it for next one. We don't have to do it now, but maybe something that you guys can think about in the future is like maybe the topic that I wanted to talk about, and it was kind of a curveball. It wasn't in the show notes. Was mostly talking about like how NFTs, having like NFTs be like kind of like these token vouchers and just kind of labeling how they are, and having a high amount of NFT mints with the token vouchers being in the future. And so that's something that I'm like very curious to kind of hear your guys' thoughts on it. And then Fenora, you're saying series like when is the next chat? Would love to tune in. It's going to be every Thursday at this time, or about an hour and 15 minutes from now. So in terms of Eastern time, it's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We feel like it's a good mix between Europe and also the US. So love it. And thank you guys so much for coming on, and appreciate every single one of you guys. And also Infinigods, thank you for doing that. And that's probably what I'll end with sign up with the Valhalla Foundation, start earning points for Thunder, and get God's token once it is announced. So not even it is announced, but whenever it comes out. So one thing that I'm super bullish on that team is that they have been in Web3 and they're wanting to reward their core holders. So love it. And thank you guys for showing up. Appreciate you. Peace.
I was raised